Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Anubha Rohatgi and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Cabinet approves mechanism for procurement of ethanol by public sector oil marketing companies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India has taken science-driven approach in response to COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches close to 91%. Government procures Kharif 2020-21 crops at MSP from farmers for over 33,951 crore rupees. Centre extends last date for submission for Air India bids to 14th December. And in IPL, Chennai Super Kings take on Kolkata Knight Riders in Dubai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, CCEA, today approved the mechanism for procurement of ethanol by public sector oil marketing companies under the Ethanol Blended Petrol Program. Briefing media in New Delhi, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said earlier there used to be one rate for ethanol, but now there will be different prices. He said the new price fixed for ethanol produced from sugar will be 62 rupees 65 paisa per litre. Ethanol manufactured from B heavy molasses will be 57 rupees 61 paisa per litre, and ethanol manufactured from C heavy molasses will be 45 rupees 69 paisa per litre.
पहले एक ही रेट होता था इथेनॉल को, लेकिन इथेनॉल चूंकि अलग अलग मोलासिस से बनता है या शुगर से भी बनता है, इसलिए जिस प्रक्रिया से बने हैं उसके आधार पर कीमत देने का काम मोदी सरकार ने शुरू किया और दाम भी बढ़ा दिए। इन दोनों का परिणाम ये हुआ कि 2014 में जहां केवल 38 करोड़ लीटर इथेनॉल ऑयल कंपनियों के पास आता था, पिछले साल 195 करोड़ लीटर आया है, यानी लगभग 5.5 गुना ज्यादा।
Additionally, GST and transportation charges will also be payable. Oil marketing companies have been advised to fix realistic transportation charges so that long-distance transportation of ethanol is not disincentivized. In order to offer fair opportunity to the localized industry within the state and reduce criss-cross movement of ethanol, oil marketing companies shall decide the criteria for priority of ethanol from various sources, taking into account various factors like cost of transportation and availability. The government has been implementing ethanol blended petrol program wherein OMCs sell petrol blended with ethanol up to 10%. This program has been extended to the whole of India except the Union Territories of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep Islands with effect from 1st April 2019 to promote the use of alternative and environment-friendly fuels. Mr. Javadekar said the CCEA also approved extension of norms for mandatory packaging in jute materials. He said 100% of the food grains and 20% of the sugar shall be mandatorily packaged in diversified jute bags.
Government has taken 2 decisions that 100% food grains will be packed in jute and 20% of sugar will be packed in jute. This is a big decision to give boost to the demand of jute in years to come. I am very sure with this guarantee of government and with rising import duties on the imported jute, the farmers will benefit. And we have already undertaken program of iCare where productivity and the quality of jute crop will also improve.
The Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said the CCEA approved externally aided dam rehabilitation and improvement project DRIP Phase 2 and Phase 3 with the financial assistance of the World Bank and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to improve the safety and operational performance of selected dams across the whole country along with institutional strengthening with system-wide management approach. The project worth 10,211 crore rupees will be implemented from April 2021 to March 2031 in 2 phases.
जिन 3 विषयों के बारे में निर्णय हुआ उसमें से एक विषय बांधों की सुरक्षा और बांधों के ऑपरेशन मेंटेनेंस को लेकर के एक योजना जिसको डैम रिहेबिलिटेशन एंड इम्प्रूवमेंट प्रोग्राम फेज 2 एंड 3 मंजूरी दी गई है। 10 साल की ये परियोजना 2 चरण में होगी, जिसकी अनुमानित लागत 10,211 करोड़ रुपए होगी। दोनों ही योजनाएं 4-4 साल की हैं, लेकिन 2-2 साल का ओवरलैपिंग पीरियड इन दोनों योजनाओं में रहेगा।
The share of external funding is 7,000 crore rupees of the total project cost, and the balance 3,211 crore rupees is to be borne by the concerned implementing agencies.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said he is still optimistic of achieving the target of $5 trillion economy by 2024 despite COVID-19. In an interview to an English daily, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Indian economy is getting back on track faster than expected, and the recent reforms are signal to the world that New India believes in markets and market forces. Mr. Modi said government will take all measures to constantly stimulate the economy in a timely manner while ensuring overall macroeconomic stability. Mr. Modi expressed confidence that recent labour reforms undertaken by the government will help in increasing the growth rate and returns in both the manufacturing and agriculture sectors. Mr. Modi said the government has laid strong foundations to make India the foremost manufacturing destination, and it will continue its reforms. Quoting Moody's, the PM said 154 greenfield projects from the US have come to India in 2020, compared to 86 in China, 12 in Vietnam and 15 in Malaysia. This is a clear indication of global confidence in India's growth story going forward. Mr. Modi said India has taken a science-driven approach in response to COVID-19 pandemic. The proactive measures taken in the early stages of the virus has helped government to prepare the defense against the pandemic, and India has the lowest COVID-19 mortality rate in the world. The Prime Minister said the pandemic has affected 130 crore people, and both the government and the citizenry are working together to combat it. He, however, added that the virus is still out there. Mr. Modi also assured the nation that as and when a vaccine becomes available, everyone will be vaccinated and none will be left behind. Union Health Secretary reviewed the status of COVID in West Bengal, Kerala and Delhi and their public health response measures in a meeting through video conferencing today. Concerns regarding rising cases in these states and UT were highlighted in the meeting. Delhi has 29,378 active cases as of today, with a fatality rate of 1.76% and a positivity rate of 7.9%. A total of 5,673 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. There has been nearly 46% increase in the new cases over the past 4 weeks, and the positivity rate over the past 4 weeks has escalated by nearly 9%. The rising cases were attributed by the Delhi team to social gatherings during the festivities and the deteriorating air quality, increasing incidences of respiratory disorders and clusters of positive cases at workplaces. The fatigue among frontline workers was also discussed. Delhi was advised to aggressively ramp up testing, increase RT-PCR tests, focus on contact tracing and effectively enforce isolation of the traced contacts within the first 72 hours. West Bengal has 37,111 active cases as of today. The case fatality rate of the state stands at 1.84% and the positivity rate is 8.3%. The cases in Kerala are showing a rising trend. Total active cases are 93,369 as of date. The average daily cases have recorded 11% increase over the last 4 weeks.
The Union government today said that the country's recovery rate among the COVID-19 patients has reached 90.99%. More than 56,000 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours. The total number of recoveries has reached over 73,15,000. The constantly increasing recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced and currently comprises only 7.51% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 6,03,000. In the last 24 hours, 49,881 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country so far to over 80 lakh. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.5%, which is one of the lowest globally. Maharashtra government has extended the lockdown in containment zones till November 30th, 2020. Although the number of COVID-19 cases are decreasing in the state, the number of active cases are still above 1 lakh. A report.
There was revival of many activities outside the containment zones in Maharashtra in this month. Monorail and Metro Railway resumed its services following SOPs of the state government. Long-time demand of gymnasium owners to reopen the gyms was considered by the government and the gyms are back in business since Dussehra. Best buses are also running with full capacity and women from all sectors were allowed to travel by local train in Mumbai. Similarly, some other professionals like lawyers and teachers have also got permission to travel by local trains. But the state government feels that there are certain things which have to be handled carefully like the places of worship, educational institutions, recreation centers, etc. Therefore, the government will have wait and watch policy for these sections in November. Although the Maharashtra government is said to allow ordinary passengers to travel by local train and after the consensus between the state government and railways, the impact of this activity will decide the further course of action about the lockdown. Shailesh Patil, AIR News, Mumbai.
A record number of more than 78.62 lakh samples have been tested in Andhra Pradesh so far. 2,905 more COVID-19 positive cases have been recorded during the last 24 hours. 3,243 persons have recovered during the past 24 hours. In Tamil Nadu, the downward spiraling of the COVID-19 situation continues with the active caseload declining to 24,886 in the last 24 hours. The new infections are recorded to be 2,652 people, which is marginally above yesterday's figures. The discharge has outnumbered the new cases significantly. More from our correspondent.
During yesterday's virtual interaction with the Tamil Nadu Health Minister Dr. C. Vijayabhaskar and senior officials, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan lauded the state's COVID management record so far. Dr. Harshvardhan pointed out to the recovery rate of 94.5% against the national average of 90.8%. He also appreciated the doubling rate of 217 days in Tamil Nadu, which remains at 131 days nationally. The sample positivity rate that shows the number of people being confirmed for every 100 tests in the state is 7.3%, which is less than the national average of 7.6%. Meanwhile, the state health department is insisting people to continue to wear masks and be careful during the festivities. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Kerala reported more recoveries than positive cases as 7,020 new cases of COVID were confirmed. 8,474 people recovered from the infection today in the state. The total active COVID cases in Kerala is 91,784. Meanwhile, 26 recent deaths were also confirmed due to COVID today, taking the death toll in the state to 1,429. Over 54,000 samples were tested in the last 24 hours.
The government continues to procure Kharif to 2020-21 crops at its minimum support price MSP from farmers as per its existing MSP schemes in the ongoing Kharif marketing season. Paddy procurement for Kharif marketing season 2020-21 is continuing smoothly in the procuring states and union territories of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala and Gujarat. Purchase of over 179.827 LMTs of paddy has been done up to yesterday against last year's corresponding purchase of 143.47 LMT. This is an increase of 25.34% over the last year. Out of the total purchase of 179.83 LMT, Punjab alone has contributed 122.22 LMT, which translates to 67.97% of total procurement. The government has extended the last date for submission for Air India bids to 14th December. The deadline for submission of bids was to end tomorrow. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said the bidding parameter for Air India has been revised and it has been decided to invite bids at enterprise value. He said the decision was taken by the Air India specific alternative mechanism yesterday following a meeting with the Ministry of Home Affairs.
After detailed preparation means several meetings at Joint Secretary, Financial Advisor level, many meetings at Secretary's level, and then by the committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary. Relooked this, revisited this, and it was decided to change the bidding parameters and ask for bids at the enterprise value. That is, the bids will be invited on equity and debt basis.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Cabinet approves mechanism for procurement of ethanol by public sector oil marketing companies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India has taken science-driven approach in response to COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches close to 91%. Government procures Kharif 2020-21 crops at its MSP from farmers for over 33,951 crore rupees. Centre extends last date for submission for Air India bids to 14th December. And in IPL, Chennai Super Kings take on Kolkata Knight Riders in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
The External Affairs Ministry today said people-to-people relationships is an important foundation of the special relationship between India and the US. Replying to a media query this evening, Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said that India has emphasized that this has been a mutually beneficial partnership which should be nurtured.
We are engaged with the US government for increasing predictability in the visa regime as well as to minimize the inconvenience being faced by those in the US as well as those who need to travel to the US for bona fide reasons. And Government of India will continue to monitor developments in this regard.
On being asked about Pakistan's reaction on changed land laws in Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Srivastava said no country has locus standi to comment on the internal affairs of India. In reply to another query, Mr. Srivastava said the whole world knows the truth about Pakistan and its role in supporting terrorism.
Vande Bharat mission has crossed the 2 million mark as of today. Briefing media virtually this evening, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said 20.55 lakh Indians have been repatriated through different modes under this mission. In the Phase 7, which has been operational since October, over 1,000 international flights have been operated from 24 countries. These flights include those from countries with which India has the air bubble arrangement. The spokesperson said internal preparations have begun for the next phase. The nation celebrates 145th birth anniversary of India's Iron Man Sardar Patel on 31st of October. The day is also marked as Rashtriya Ekta Divas across the country. In the run-up to the event, All India Radio News brings you selected excerpts from the speeches of the Iron Man of India from its archives.
हमारा एक कर्तव्य है कि जिस मोहल्ले में हम रहते हैं, जिस शहर में हम रहते हैं, जिस नगर में हम रहते हैं, हम एक खुदा की औलाद है, एक ईश्वर की प्रजा है, हम सब एक माँ बाप के फर्जंद है, इस प्रकार हम रहना चाहिए.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said he will be in Gujarat tomorrow and day after to attend programs to mark Ekta Divas, which is the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said a series of development works would also be inaugurated in Kevadia, home to the Statue of Unity. The Prime Minister will participate at the Ekta Divas parade and administer the Rashtriya Ekta Pledge. The police forces of Gujarat State and Central Reserved Armed Force, Border Security Force, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, Central Industrial Security Forces and National Security Guards will participate in the parade. The Prime Minister will also witness a rifle drill by female officers of the CRPF. As part of Ekta Divas celebrations, a cultural show of tribal heritage is also being organized at Kevadia. To mark the solemn occasion, the Indian Air Force will perform a flypast. Mr. Modi will also interact with and address 428 officer trainees belonging to various civil services currently undergoing the 95th foundation course at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie through video conference. In Bihar, campaigning for the second and third phases of assembly elections has intensified. In the second phase, 94 assembly segments spread over 17 districts will go to polls on 3rd November. For the third and the final phase, polling will be held on 7th November in 78 assembly segments. Senior leaders and star campaigners of political parties are holding roadshows, public meetings and rallies in support of their candidates. Addressing rallies in Motihari and Madhuban, senior BJP leader and Union Minister Nityanand Rai claimed that the people of Bihar are sensible and they will never vote for the party which pushed the state into poverty and backwardness. BJP leader and Deputy CM Sushil Kumar Modi held a roadshow in Sitamarhi. JDU President and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed rallies in Manjhi, Sikta and Valmiki Nagar. Mr. Kumar said that during his tenure, the tourism sector has proliferated and a large number of tourists are coming to Bihar. He said this has opened new avenues of earning for people. Prominent leaders of opposition parties also held rallies today. Addressing a rally in Rajnagar in Madhubani district, RJD leader Tejashwi Prasad Yadav said his party is a supporter of social harmony and it does not discriminate on caste lines. Senior Congress leader Sachin Pilot claimed in Patna that Bihar elections will ring in the farewell of the NDA from the state. Rashtriya Lok Samta Party chief Upendra Kushwaha held multiple rallies in Paru, Minapur, Marahura and Amnor. CPI National General Secretary D. Raja said in Patna that with the RJD and the Congress, the left parties have given a strong alternative to the NDA. CPM leader Sitaram Yechuri said the electorate of Bihar is against the policies of the BJP-led government at the centre. The Election Commission has issued the final figure of voter turnout in the first phase of Bihar Assembly elections. An estimated 55.69% electorate exercised their franchise. This is 2.15% more than the 2015 Assembly elections.
Bahujan Samaj Party has suspended its 7 MLAs in Uttar Pradesh for anti-party activities. In a press release issued this evening, party said that all 7 MLAs were allegedly in touch with Samajwadi Party and planning to vote against the party's official candidate in upcoming Rajya Sabha election. The President and Prime Minister have expressed condolences over the death of former Chief Minister of Gujarat Keshubhai Patel. In his message, the President Ram Nath Kovind said, with the demise of Keshubhai Patel, the nation has lost a stalwart leader. Mr. Kovind said, Keshubhai's long public life was dedicated to improving the lives of millions, and as a champion of farmers' causes, he enjoyed extraordinary rapport with masses. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he is deeply pained and saddened. Mr. Modi said Keshubhai was an outstanding leader who cared for every section of society and his life was devoted towards the progress of Gujarat and the empowerment of every Gujarati. He said Keshubhai mentored and groomed many younger कार्यकर्तास including him.
आज देश का, गुजरात की धरती का एक महान सबूत हम सभी से बहुत दूर चला गया है. हम सभी के प्रिय श्रद्धेय केशुभाई पटेल जी, उनके निधन के समाचार मैं कल्पना ही नहीं कर सकता हूं. मैं बहुत दुखी हूं, बहुत स्तब्ध हूं. केशुभाई का जाना मेरे लिए किसी पिता तुल्य के जाने की तरह है. उनका निधन मेरे लिए ऐसी क्षति है जो कभी पूरी नहीं हो पाएगी. करीब 6 दशक का सार्वजनिक जीवन और अखंड रूप से एक ही लक्ष्य, राष्ट्रभक्ति, राष्ट्रहित.
Home Minister Amit Shah has also expressed condolence over the passing away of Keshubhai Patel. He said his long public life was devoted to the service of people of Gujarat.
In Chhattisgarh, a female Maoist was killed in an encounter with security forces in Bastar division today. According to police officials, a joint team of Special Task Force, Cobra Battalion and District Reserve Guard was on a search mission in Chinta Gufa area of Sukma district when the encounter took place. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today launched the Green Delhi app to increase citizen participation in Delhi's fight against pollution and ensure timely action against pollution sources in the city. The Green app is available on the Android version. Through this app, people can register their complaints regarding pollution. The complaint will automatically reach the concerned department and it will take time-bound action on the complaint.
A knife-wielding attacker killed 3 people including a woman and in a suspected terrorist attack at a church in the French city of Nice today. Police and officials said. Nice's mayor Christian Estrosi, who described the attack as terrorism, said on Twitter it happened in or near the city's Notre Dame church and that the police had detained the attacker. One of the people killed inside the church was believed to be the church warden, Estrosi said. The suspected knife attacker was shot by police while being detained. He's on his way to hospital. He's alive, Estrosi told reporters. Police said 3 people were confirmed to have died in the attack and several were injured. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has strongly condemned the recent terrorist attacks in France, including today's heinous attack in Nice inside a church. In a tweet, Mr. Modi conveyed condolences to the families of the victims and the people of France. He said India stands with France in the fight against terrorism.
An upper air circulation is being observed in northern Tamil Nadu and southern Andhra coastal regions. Weather officials in Chennai say the system is set to trigger heavy to very heavy rain in 7 northern districts of Tamil Nadu, including Chennai and its 3 adjoining districts of Chengalpattu, Kanchipuram and Tiruvallur for the next 24 hours. 4 southern districts including Tenkasi, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi and Ramanathapuram may experience isolated heavy rain. The National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, NIMHANS, has come forward to impart training in stroke care to Government Health Department medical officers. The NIMHANS director, Dr. G. Gururaj, has said during the World Stroke Day function in Bengaluru today that under the National Health Mission, a proposal is sent to organize a 2.5-year-long training program to help develop stroke care centers in 20 government hospitals in Bengaluru and neighboring districts.
India has conveyed its serious concern to Saudi Arabia both in Delhi and in Riyadh over gross misrepresentation of India's external territorial boundaries on an official and legal banknote of Saudi Arabia. In equity benchmarks today fell around 0.5% in sync with a plunge in global markets. The rupee also weakened 23 paise to settle beyond 74 rupees against the American currency. A report from the Business World.
The BSE 30-share index Sensex lost 173 points or 0.43% to settle at 39,750. The NSE Nifty 50 index also slipped 59 points or 0.5% to settle at 11,671. In the forex market, the rupee depreciated 23 paise to close at 74 rupees and 11 paise against the US dollar. And in intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $37.50 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $35.80 per barrel. This is Lalema Aneja Dang with Sanjeev Kumar Singh for AIR News.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has extended his greetings to the people of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir on the auspicious occasion of Eid-e-Milad-ul-Nabi. In his message of felicitations, the Lieutenant Governor hoped that the auspicious occasion would spread the message of oneness, peace and universal brotherhood among all the sections of the society.
In IPL cricket, put into bat, Kolkata Knight Riders were 144 for 4 in 18 overs against Chennai Super Kings at Dubai when reports last came in. Mumbai Indians beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 5 wickets in Abu Dhabi last night. And in tomorrow's match, Kings 11 Punjab will clash with Rajasthan Royals in Abu Dhabi. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will experience mist. The temperature will hover between 12 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, sky will be mainly clear. The lower level of temperature in the metropolis will be 23 degrees Celsius and the upper level will be 35 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will oscillate between 24 and 28 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is expected to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature in the metropolitan will be 23 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 33 degrees Celsius. Jammu and Srinagar cities will have mainly clear sky. In Jammu, the minimum temperature will be 14 degrees Celsius while maximum 31 degrees Celsius. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be 2 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 21 degrees. Leh will have partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Minimum temperature will be minus 2 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be nearly 12 degrees. Gilgit will witness mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening with temperature moving from 4 to 24 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, lower limit of temperature will be 8 degrees Celsius while the upper limit will be 28 degrees. And now, before we close, the headlines once again. Cabinet approves mechanism for procurement of ethanol by public sector oil marketing companies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India has taken science-driven approach in response to COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches close to 91%. Government procures Kharif 2020-21 crops at its MSP from farmers for over 33,951 crore rupees. And in IPL, Chennai Super Kings take on Kolkata Knight Riders in Dubai. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com. And with that, we end the evening news.